You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am Jacob Valk, and I have to start with Lakers Nuggets. And the Nuggets have found themselves in a familiar situation. For the 7th time in the bubble, they will be facing elimination. I'm seeing some Lakers fans on Twitter already celebrating the fact that they're going to go to the NBA Finals. Don't go that crazy yet. Jazz fans were confident that they were going to beat the Nuggets. Clippers fans were confident that they were going to beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets rallied back. You still have to win one more game. This is a feisty Nuggets team. And you saw it yesterday. Even with Nikola Jokic not playing that well, Jamal Murray stepped up and made some of the most improbable shots you'll ever see. The Michael Jordan-esque layup, that crazy fadeaway that he made. I mean, he was doing things that I've never seen before. And it's kind of funny, this game boiled down to Jamal Murray versus Anthony Davis. Did anyone really expect that? Obviously, we knew that they were gonna get theirs, but I think we all thought that LeBron and Jokic were gonna have more of an impact. LeBron still dropped 26, and he nearly had a triple-double, but he wasn't great in this game. He made his mark on defense, though. He checked up Jamal Murray late. And you know what? That was a great job by LeBron. He said, you know what? I'm the best player on this team. It's winning time now. That's what we all heard on the broadcast. It's Jamal Murray time. It's winning time. This is when he steps up. LeBron can step up in the fourth quarter, too. And he wanted that challenge. He didn't want Rondo to get it. He didn't want KCP to get it. He didn't want anyone else to get it. He wanted that challenge. And you know what? LeBron was up to it. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if in Game 5, LeBron was on Murray the whole time. You can't underestimate this Nuggets team. If you have an opportunity to beat them, you have to go all out to seize it. Yesterday, there were moments when you thought the Lakers could go on a crazy run. And that would be it. The Nuggets hung in there. They never trailed by more than 12. This is going to sound really cliche, but it's the truth. They never give up. Now, there are some teams that when they fall behind, they just keel over and die. The Nuggets don't do that. They keep fighting. And it's a testament to their coach, Mike Malone, has done a fantastic job. He's gotten Jeremy Grant more involved. Grant has really stepped up these past 2 games. He's been really impressive. Monte Morris has gotten more involved. Michael Porter Jr. is still getting his. The Nuggets are a well-oiled machine. And while I'm not counting them out, I'd be a fool to count them out. I don't think they're getting past the Lakers. The Nuggets have had some unsung guys step up in Grant and Morris. The Lakers have had some unsung guys step up. Dwight Howard, in his first game starting in these playoffs, had a double-double. Great job by Frank Vogel in listening to me. KCP drops 13. Rajon Rondo continues doing his thing. Kyle Kuzma was okay. He got torched on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively he wasn't bad. This game really boiled down to second chance points. The Nuggets only had 6. The Lakers had 25. It's hard to win in this league when you're giving up multiple opportunities on the same possession. And that really stemmed from Nikola Jokic being in foul trouble. Jokic was sitting with 5 fouls for most of the fourth quarter. So he sat for long periods, and when he was in, he wasn't as physical. The Nuggets also weren't getting the long rebounds. It seemed like they were all ball watching. They were just expecting the ball to get to them. There's a phrase that some coaches use. It's called attacking the ball. When you see a pass coming to you, you're really not supposed to just stand there and let it come to you. You're supposed to make a concerted effort to go after it. The Nuggets didn't do that, and they got out-rebounded. On offensive rebounds, they got doubled up, 12-6. Total rebounds, they got 33. The Lakers had 41. I'm not saying the Nuggets played bad. They shot over 50% from the field. But at the end of the day, if you give this Lakers team numerous chances to score, they're going to take it. They're too talented. I'm not saying this series is over. The Nuggets thrive when they're the underdog. Is it looking good for the Lakers? Absolutely. But I'd be a fool to count the Nuggets out right now. Alright, now it's time to preview Heat Celtics. For the Heat, I really wouldn't change much. Your young players are stepping up in Bam and Hero. Your veterans are stepping up in Butler and Dragic. You're in a good spot. Don't reinvent the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You have a great coach in Eric Spoelstra, someone who's not getting the credit he deserves. Keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be fine. As for the Celtics, they really need to clamp down defensively. At the end of the day, if Marcus Smart isn't going to score 20 points, which he's done in this series, he has to do a better job on Hero and Dragic. Tatum and Brown have to do a better job on Butler. Daniel Tice has to do a better job on Bam. The offense will come. And you've done a good job limiting their effectiveness from beyond the arc, but you can't allow them to penetrate. You can't allow them to shoot mid-range jumpers. The offense will come. Just tighten up defensively. Be smart. Don't foul. Contest every shot. That's how you'll get back in this series. Moving on now to Dolphins-Jaguars. And look, I was right that this wasn't going to be a good game. It was a blowout. I was close to the correct final score. I think I said 28-13. It was 31-13. I just got the team wrong. I did not expect Ryan Fitzpatrick to have that type of game. I'm not saying Fitzpatrick was Dan Marino or anything, but you know what? For Ryan Fitzpatrick, that's a great game. Alright, as someone who saw every game that Ryan Fitzpatrick started as a Jet, that's pretty much the best you can expect from him. 18 for 20 for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, not great, but I'll take it. I was a little surprised at how this game unfolded from the Dolphins' skill position players. Mike Gesicki only had 1 catch. Now, granted, it was for a 15-yard touchdown, but still, only 1 catch from Gesicki? That doesn't work for me. Preston Williams, 2 catches for 7 yards. Again, one of them was a touchdown, but that doesn't work for me. You've got to get them more involved. Devontae Parker played well, 5 catches for 69 yards. He torched C.J. Henderson. Henderson had a garbage game. He's had a good rookie season, but with the lights on bright, he folded. I don't like that. You've got to show up on national games. But I'll tell you what keeps surprising me about the Dolphins, and I'm not saying this because I have the guy on my fantasy team. Why do the Dolphins keep handing the ball off to Myles Gaskin and not getting Jordan Howard more involved? I understand that Howard's stat line this year is not great. He has 16 rushes for 12 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he can have 16 touchdowns, but he's only going to have like 30 or 40 rushing yards on the year. It's crazy. But this is a guy with talent. He started out his NFL career with back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for the Bears. Then his third year, he had 935 yards, not too far off from 1,000, and he had 9 touchdowns. Gets traded to the Eagles, and he doesn't do bad in limited time. 4.5 yards per attempt. The second highest in his career. Ends up with the Dolphins. Should be their lead running back. He's better than Myles Gaskin. He just is. If you can't see that, clean your glasses. And he's a better pure runner than Matt Breida. Breida's a better pass-catching back. Howard's a better pure running back. This guy has been relegated to short yardage duty, and I have no idea why. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. The Dolphins got the win. Good for them. But they had Myles Gaskin and Ryan Fitzpatrick as their best and second best rushers yesterday. That's not the way it should be. I understand that Chan Gailey isn't the greatest offensive mind in the world. Believe me, I saw what he did with the Jets. But he's got to know that giving the ball to Howard more and letting him strut his stuff more gives the Dolphins a better chance of winning. I understand they got the win yesterday. Believe me, I do. But that was their first win of the season. And they got it against the Jaguars. A team that, while I was talking them up yesterday, really made me look stupid. Their defense still isn't ready for prime time. I mean, the Dolphins have veterans. The Jaguars really don't. That's the main reason why the Dolphins won. They weren't fazed by the bright lights. Thursday Night Football, the entire NFL world is watching them. The Jaguars caved. The Dolphins didn't. I spent a lot of time yesterday focusing on the Jaguars offense. And yeah, it grossly underachieved. Like I said, they made me look stupid. James Robinson looks like he can be something special, but Gardner Minshew isn't anything great. I told my buddy Nick this. He's going to be closer to David Garrard than Mark Brunell. And even Garrard may be a little too much. Maybe Byron Leftwich. The more I thought about it, the more I didn't like the Garrard comparison. Because Garrard actually made a Pro Bowl with the Jaguars. Leftwich didn't. I'd be stunned if Minshew made a Pro Bowl. Chris Conley really underwhelmed. He had 8 targets, but he only had 3 catches. They're going to name a candy bar after him. They're going to call it Butterfingers. D.D. Westbrook was a non-factor. DJ Chark being out didn't help things. It looked like Chark was going to play yesterday, but he was ruled out. The Jaguars have some work to do. Maybe this will help them in the grand scheme of things. Getting embarrassed under the bright lights. They won't want it to happen again, so they'll play better when they're nationally televised again. I don't know when they're going to be nationally televised again, but it will happen at some point. I still think the Jaguars are better than we gave them credit for at the beginning of the season. I said 6 wins is a possibility yesterday. That's not looking too good. It's still possible, but 4 or 5 is looking more likely. I understand it's not the biggest difference in the world, but it's still a difference. Alright, it's time for me to make my NFL picks. I've gone 2-1 both weeks, so I have a winning record. I'll take it. I never said to do this as a parlay. In fact, I never even said gamble based off them. I'm not. Gambling is illegal in New York. If you want to bet based off my picks, I can't stop you, but do so at your own peril. And that goes for anyone, not just me. Whatever person you're betting based off of. Do so with caution. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. I hate to pick the same team in back-to-back weeks, but I'm going to. I like the Giants +4 against the Niners. The Niners are ravaged by injuries. Nick Mullins is going to start at quarterback. Raheem Mostert is out. Nick Bosa is out. Solomon Thomas is out. They may need to bring Joe Montana and Roger Craig back. That's how decimated the Niners are from an injury perspective. I understand that the Giants aren't entering this game with a clean bill of health. Their first game without Barkley. They're still without Sterling Shepard. But ultimately, I really think the Giants can cover the 4-point spread and maybe even win this game. I've got a couple late picks for you. I like the Cardinals -5.5. The Cardinals are going to beat the Lions by more than a touchdown. I don't understand what the odds makers are looking at. The Lions are not that good. Matthew Stafford isn't off to a great start. How much longer can they ride Adrian Peterson? But their defense is their Achilles heel. And Matt Patricia is supposedly a defensive wunderkind. He was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots before he got the Lions job. the Lions have an abysmal defense. Bottom of the league in total yards, rushing yards, and points allowed. Kyler Murray is going to have a field day throwing against this defense. He may throw for 3 touchdowns. Kenyon Drake may get 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins is going to go off. The over-under on this game is 55. The Cardinals may score 55 by themselves. No. They're not going to do that. In all seriousness, the Cardinals are going to win by more than a touchdown. I'm very confident in saying that. There's another 5.5 point favorite that I like, and that is the Buccaneers over the Broncos. No Drew Lock, no Cortland Sutton, no Phillip Lindsay. Jerry Jeudy's not going to be 100%. How can the Broncos expect to keep up with the Buccaneers? I don't care that it's in Denver. Like Tom Brady's never played in Denver before. I understand that Brady has gotten off to a slow start in Tampa, but I think he's going to right the ship here. The Buccaneers will win by at least a touchdown. So my picks are Giants +4, Cardinals -5.5, and Buccaneers -5.5. Moving on now to Lightning Stars. Game 4 is tonight. And the Lightning really don't need to do much differently. You saw what they can do with Stamkos back in the lineup. That changes the whole outlook of this series. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Stars cannot match that star power. No pun intended. I did enough puns yesterday. Can't do any more. If you're John Cooper, you have to be feeling really good about your chances. All you have to do is just keep the game plan the same. And I like Cooper a lot. Smart guy. Went to Hofstra. I'm glad that he's most likely gonna win the Stanley Cup. If the Stars want to get back in this series, and make no mistake about it, they have to win tonight. Okay, they're not going to win 3 straight. Anton Khudobin needs to go back to being the Anton Khudobin of old. You saw what he did against the Golden Knights. He shut them down. This series is going to come down to him. Now, the Stars need to help him, because their defense has not been great. Miro Heiskanen hasn't looked great. John Klingberg hasn't looked great. The Stars are getting away from what got them here in the first place. Yes, in the bubble, they turned into more of an offensive team, but the reason they clinched a playoff spot and didn't have to play in the qualifying round was because they were great defensively. And you even saw that in Game 1 of this series. The Stars need to get back to what got them here in the first place. Play great defense, get stout goaltending. That's how they're going to win this game. They can't match the Lightning offensively. They can only hope to match them defensively. And even then, that's a tall ask. There are a couple college football games that I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about Kentucky-Auburn, because at the end of the day, I have no idea what to expect from those two teams. They haven't played yet. It's unfair for me to make any predictions. It's the same reason why I didn't make any picks before the NBA and NHL bubbles started. That's why I didn't make any MLB picks before the season. I'm gonna hold true to that precedent. But I can talk about Louisville and Pittsburgh because I've seen them. And Louisville is a really good team. They have a really talented quarterback in Mikhail Cunningham, a guy who has gotten off to an incredible start. He's second in the nation in passing yards with 650. He's already thrown for 6 touchdowns. He's incredibly talented. And he orchestrates a very talented offense. Their running backs, Javian Hawkins and Hassan Hall, are really talented. Their wide receivers, Tutu Atwell, Des Fitzpatrick, and Braden Smith, all incredibly talented. You saw it last week when they put up 34 against the Hurricanes. They just gave up 47. That's the thing. They don't have a good defense. Outside of Monty Montgomery and maybe Rajay Burns, there's no one who scares me on the defensive side of the ball for Louisville. I like Scott Satterfield. I think he's a good coach. But he really needs to whip that unit into shape. The good thing is that they're going up against a Pittsburgh team that doesn't have the best offense in the world. It's a committee-based offense. It's an offense where you have to prepare for a bunch of players. Kenny Pickett, the Davises, DJ Turner, Shockey Jacques Lewis, Jared Wayne, Daniel Carter. I'm not a big fan of their offense. From what I've seen, I haven't been that impressed with it. I mean, they destroyed Austin Peay. Good for them. But they had a tough time against Syracuse. Yes, they won 21-10, but they should have blown the orange out of the water, and they didn't. They have a really talented defense with Cam Bright, Paris Ford, Rashad Weaver, and Kalisha Cansey. Not to mention Dayon Hayes, John Morgan, Phil Campbell. I could go on and on. This is a battle of a great offense in Louisville versus a great defense in Pittsburgh. Ultimately, I think Louisville will be able to score enough to beat the Panthers. I don't see the Panthers putting up a lot of points in this game. They just don't have the offense for it. It doesn't matter how average the Louisville defense is. It should be better. If Louisville wants to make a major run, it should be better. But it's going to hold Pittsburgh in check. In this game, I like the Cardinals. Moving on now to Army Cincinnati. And when you watch Army play, it just epitomizes college football. Their wishbone offense, single wing, whatever you want to call it. An offense that would never work in the pros, but works in college. Army's played 2 games so far this year. You know how many passes they've attempted in those 2 games? 9. You know how many they've completed? 3. You know what their record is? 2-0. Their rushing attack is incredible. Christian Anderson, what he can do with the quarterback position with his legs is really impressive. Reminds me a lot of Lynn Bowden from last year at Kentucky. Jacoby Buchanan has been good. Tyrell Robinson. Sandon McCoy, Anthony Adkins, Jamel Jones, Cade Barnard. It's crazy when you watch Army play. They just run the ball down your throat. They have a good defense with Cedric Cunningham Jr., John Radigan, Markel Broughton, Malcolm Morrison. They have talent there, but it's the offense that, when you watch it, it's an incredible sight. It's what makes college football great. And when you look at Cincy, I don't understand how they're 14th in the nation. I understand that they've only played one game, and there's not much that I can read into it. They destroyed Austin Peay, for goodness sake. I don't know what's with Austin Peay and signing up to get destroyed by these teams. Whatever money they're getting, it can't be enough. But even going into the season, I didn't think they were that great. I like Luke Fickell. I think he's a really smart coach. But the Bearcats lost a couple big contributors last year. Michael Warren went undrafted, but he's now with the Eagles. I don't know if he's on their active roster or if he's on their practice squad, but I know he's with the Eagles. And Josiah DeGuara was picked by the Packers. Those were two big weapons for Fickell last year. I thought they were being massively overrated entering the season. I don't see how they're going to keep up with Army. Give me the Black Knights. There are a few hockey stories that I want to talk about. The first one concerns a trade that had been rumored for a while. It is now official. The Penguins traded Patrick Hornquist to the Panthers for Mike Matheson and Colton Sevior. And I gotta tell ya, I don't get this move for the Penguins. They're having a tough time with the salary cap. We know that. They've got a bunch of players taking up a lot of money. Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Gensel, Zucker, Rust, Tanev, Brian Dumoulin, Marcus Pedersen, Jack Johnson. We all knew that they had cap issues. And Hornquist was an expendable piece. Expensive third liner, 33 years old, hasn't had the best seasons recently. He's scored under 40 points in back-to-back seasons. Did nothing in the playoffs. I don't mind the Penguins moving on from Hornquist. What I mind is not clearing any cap space with it. Mike Matheson is on one of the worst contracts in the NHL. This guy signed a huge contract when he was establishing himself as a good young defenseman. He went on to score 27 points in 81 games the year that he first signed the contract, and the logic was sound. But right when the contract kicked in, Matheson fell off a cliff. His offense took a step back, his defense took a step back, his physical play is taking a step back. He's no longer that good. Can you put him on the top 6? Yes. But not with that contract. He's due to count for $4,875,000 against the cap for the next 6 seasons. That is an inexcusable contract to have given out. Good job by Bill Zito in moving on from a terrible Dale Talon decision. But if you're Jim Rutherford, how do you look at that contract and say, okay, I'll take it? It's worse than Hornquist's contract. It's not even close. I mean, Colton Sevior is a solid third or fourth liner. Plays a good defensive game. Doesn't offer much offensively, but he can get you 20 points. Nothing wrong with Sevior. But if you're going to move on from Hornquist, you have to clear cap. Just do it for Sevior. Or if the Panthers really want to attach Matheson to it, just say no. This is an easy win for the Panthers. While Hornquist isn't on the best contract in the world, he's still a solid third liner. Matheson is incredibly overpaid, and Sevior can be replaced easily by Hornquist. I understand that they don't play the same position, but from what you're getting from them, production-wise, Hornquist far exceeds Sevior. Great move for the Panthers. Moving on now to the Senators finally buying out Bobby Ryan. He will be bought out. It's really a shame what happened to him. It looked like he was going to be a great player with the Ducks. Him, Getzlaff, and Corey Perry were going to lead them into the future. But then the Ducks decided to move on from Ryan. They just decided that they didn't want to pay him anymore. And the Senators signed him to a huge contract. 7 years at $50.75 million. That's $7.25 million per year. Ryan hasn't come anywhere close to that type of contract for a long time. He hasn't exceeded 45 points since the 15-16 season. That contract has been a major albatross for a long time. The Senators tried hard to move on from it in a trade. There were rumors that he was going to go to Vegas along with Erik Karlsson after the Golden Knights lost in the Stanley Cup Finals. That didn't come to fruition, but look, the Senators had no choice but to buy out this contract. It's going to be a tough few years for the Senators. There's no question about it. Eugene Melnyk has done a terrible job with them, and that is the understatement of the year. Next week is going to be really interesting. You are going to get a Jets recap after they play the Colts. They are a 4 o'clock start, so you can expect that at about 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish. I am going to give you a New York Yankees show just to put a bow on their season. And I'll talk about Gary Sanchez also, and what the Yankees are doing with him and Kyle Higashioka. As for when the Jets play the Broncos on Thursday night, you will not get a recap. I'm going to do that on the regular episode of the Jacob Valk Show. It doesn't make sense for me to do a Jets recap for Friday morning when I would talk about the game on Friday afternoon if it didn't feature the Jets. So I'm just going to save it all for Friday afternoon. Also, I have no idea what Major League Baseball is going to do regarding the timing of the playoff games. I know that there are going to be playoffs up the wazoo soon. I think it's something like 8 playoff games are going to happen on the same day. So I don't know how they're going to do that. 1 o'clock starts, 3 o'clock starts, 2 o'clock starts. I have no idea. I will do playoff picks on Monday, though. I can promise you that. So it's going to be very fluid as to when you get the regular episode of the Jacob Valk Show. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. I don't care where you're listening. iTunes, Spreaker, YouTube, Alexa. Believe it or not, you can actually listen to this show on Alexa. It's really cool. If you do all that, you won't miss anything. Follow me on Twitter at RealJacobValk so you can get instant updates when the podcast has been uploaded. Until Monday, I am Jacob Valk saying that left-handers feel that they're the only ones in their right mind.